Hello, and welcome to Session 5 of Getting Started with Action Research. As we discussed in earlier sessions, reviewing the published academic literature and developing an annotated bibliography is fundamental to the action research process. In this short video, we will review your choice of strategy, confirm the participants in your study, and introduce research ethics considerations. Let's start with your chosen strategy. Through the literature review, you searched for and reviewed published information about other researchers' positive and negative experiences with the strategy. Understanding what has worked and what has not worked are both important considerations for this early stage of the research design process. In addition to considering other researchers' experiences, it is important that you reflect on the strategy. How does it connect with the way you teach? How does it extend or enhance the way you teach? And how does it challenge the way you teach? Because you are both the researcher and a participant in the action research process, it is important that you recognize and manage any biases or preconceptions you have about your chosen strategy. You will likely revisit these questions about your assumptions and biases several times over the course of the strategy implementation and assessment process. Discussing your biases and assumptions with a critical friend or research collaborator is needed to achieve rigor when using action research methods. Identifying your action research collaborators and the participants is an important early stage task. In the initial planning stages, you should involve your collaborators in discussions about research question refinement, review of the published academic literature, selection of the intervention or teaching strategy, and participant identification. In most action research undertaken by a team, the collaborators are co-creators, not just cooperators. While you and your collaborators are obvious participants, careful thought must be given at an early stage as to who the other participants may be. Again, your students may be obvious participants, but thought should be given to others, such as parents or other people in your school community who should also be included as participants. Because everyone involved in an action research project is a participant, careful thought must be given to the roles everyone will have in the research. For example, will you share data with students or parents and solicit their feedback? It is also important to remember that you have a responsibility to ensure that everyone is treated fairly and ethically. For all formal action research, where there is the possibility that you will share student data with people outside your school, compliance with established ethical guidelines is required. The Center for Inspiring Minds has developed ethical guidelines for school-based research that are similar to those used by universities and research bodies. These guidelines follow good practice standards to ensure that all research is conducted in the most conscientious and responsible manner possible. There are specific concerns addressed by the guidelines that build on established safeguarding and data protection policies and practices. To begin with, all participants should be briefed about the project and their role, and should provide signed consent. In the case of students, consent for participation must be obtained from their parents. Please remember that the reason for this consent is that data arising from the research project may be shared with audiences outside the school, such as through a conference presentation or publication. The strategies employed in action research projects are no different than the ones used day to day. They are research-based, but they are not experimental. Participants should be assured that their data will be anonymized and that confidential data or records will not be stored or archived in public places. Where the research topic is potentially sensitive, offensive, or personal, the research methods must ensure that participants are shielded from potential psychological or physical harm. When the data collection methods are specialist tools, such as standardized tests or learning programs classed as therapies, only individuals qualified to administer the assessments or programs will be involved in their use. Because action research does not involve the use of controls or paired cohorts, the research must demonstrate that the intervention does not present risks that are different from other teacher or education leader choices. Finally, all participants must have the option of not participating or withdrawing at any time without being prejudiced in any way. To ensure that all these ethical considerations have been addressed, formal action research projects are subject to an ethics review prior to getting started. This review does not include all assessment or data collection methods that will be used, as the nature of action research allows for responsive modification. In the next session, we'll begin talking about planning and the timelining of the research process. Thank you for your interest in action research.